Hi and welcome back to the Koi Perspective. This is Joe Mitchell. As you can see on your screen, this is obviously a little bit of a different video for you today. Just doing a little bit of voiceover, as I had actually recorded this whole video, but then it's been a bit of a crazy month for me. But I wanted to give you a bit of background about me. A lot of people have been asking since the interview that I did with Chris Edwards to kind of introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my pond, and later on in this video I'm going to explain like a new concept, a new series to follow along in the Koi Perspective magazine. And I'm really excited about this. I'm hoping that you guys feel the same excitement that I have as well. So yeah, I mean, personally, I've been a koi keeper since the first COVID lockdown. I was redundant, and essentially the first thing I did was go into the garden and start digging myself out a koi pond. It's in about its third iteration at the minute, I think, this koi pond. 2,200 gallons. And I'm taking my insulation balls off the top, and these are, because my pond is heated, it's just to try and retain any extra heat and condensation, to keep that heat inside. And those little balls, they actually work really well for me. I mean, I worked it out personally that overnight they cut down about 75% of my heating cost. They've been fantastic, but they've time to come off now. I'm going to start prepping the pond for a summer season. I'm hoping to get a decent bit of growth into these fish. They were shown last year at the Great British Koi Show, but I've never really tested my ability to grow fish properly in this main pond. So I'm excited to kind of do that later on this year. But yeah, I wanted to speak to you about my pond because a few of you have been asking since that interview, as I mentioned. It is 2,200 gallons, like I've already said. But the drum, interestingly, was one of the first ever Profi drums to ever enter the UK. I actually picked it up from a gentleman in Essex who was closing down his pond. And yeah, it's been one of my favourite pieces of equipment that I've bought for the pond. There's a lot of kind of mixed reviews you'll hear about drum filters on the internet. Should you, shouldn't you? Obviously they are a lot of money. Personally, I wouldn't be without it. It just gives me that peace of mind to be able to go on holiday and not have any doubts about whether or not my pond's looking after itself. Because it is one of the first ones, the original Profi drums didn't come with like a float sensor which turned off the pumps, as far as I'm aware. But the guy in Essex actually had a slug go through his control box and melt itself on all the wiring. So he actually ended up upgrading it. So the second-hand unit that I actually ended up with came with that upgrade to the new control box. And Darren at Absolute Koi stocks all the spare parts, and even his, the customer care, even though I purchased it second-hand through Darren, has been phenomenal. So you can get hold of anything you need through Profi Drum. So I'd highly recommend having a look at one if you're in the market. I mean, again, personally, brand new, it would have been out of the question for me to look at a Profi Drum. And I know there'll be some of you watching with exactly the same kind of feelings that they're too expensive. Second-hand drums, if you're going for a good one, can be worth it. Spending a little bit extra on a second-hand one rather than the cheapest one you can get on the market. It's worth considering and worth keeping your eyes open on all the, foreign boards and that kind of thing to see who's closing down their ponds. Especially in this day and age with the cost of electric, there's a lot of people closing down ponds these days where you can pick up a bargain with some second-hand equipment. My water is filtered immediately through the Profi drum, and then it goes through into a custom-made bio chamber. I originally had a bead filter on, but I found it really, really hard to get the beads. Were the ceramic beads and not the Evolution Aqua K1 bead filter. So I can't speak as to like my review on the K1 bead filters, but I had the ceramic bead filter, and I had a big blower on there and I blew it up to clean the beads in there, but I found it really difficult to clean. Occasionally I'd take the lid off and get the beads out, and the amount of debris that was in the bead filter, to me it was a bacterial disaster waiting to happen. I know other people have different opinions on them, but I wouldn't particularly go anywhere near a bead filter after my experience with it. And it just served as an example for me to show me how much actually does get through a drum, because even the drum only has I think it's 70 micron screen on it, and it filters down to 70 micron, but the amount of debris that was in my bead filter, honestly, it was astonishing. So I switched over and actually got a custom made bio chamber. It's got 2 air stones in the bottom and 150 litres of Awaza Helix 13. The Awaza Helix 13 took a long time for the maturity on my side to happen, and I felt that I needed to kind of look at a shower as well alongside it, because obviously I've only got 2,200 gallons and I have fish that are going up towards 70 centimetres now. I thought to myself that if I can increase the capacity of my filter, I'll be doing the fish a better service, being able to grow them bigger and filter more ammonia and nitrite out of the pond. So there's a mix of medias in my shower. I've got some ceramic media, and on the bottom tier of the shower I actually have some crystal bio. The crystal bio I added from Chris Masters, swears by this stuff. It's actually a really light ceramic media, and it's really soft. I was concerned that putting it in the bio chamber that the actual power of the shower would break it apart and crumble it to pieces, but I put it on the bottom tier of the shower just to kind of protect it and let the water trickle over the top rather than blasting out the spray bar. So ceramic media on the top, crystal bio on the bottom, and ever since I added that, I saw an instant change in the nitrite levels in my pond. They just disappeared within a week, I would say. Really, really fast. So the crystal bio is 100% something that I would swear by, and I've seen the quantities they use at Ogata's facility of this stuff. They also just keep it submerged in the side of the pond, obviously where it's not being cleaned, because they're using standpipes on their bottom drains just to clean the pond. But I've also seen them use it in showers as well at Ogata. The only thing is it's really expensive to import to this country, so it's really hard to get hold of and really costly. So is it something I'd recommend? It worked for me, but it is extremely expensive, and I can see why people would look towards just the standard ceramic medias. It just didn't seem to mature as quickly for me. But yeah, leave a comment down below as to what you're using in your shower, because I'm genuinely interested, and hopefully something that we can maybe look at as a testing subject on this new Perspective Pond. But speaking of Ogata Koi Farm, where they use the crystal bio, I have been to Japan as well personally. One of the reasons why I wanted to start up this venture, the Koi Perspective, is based on my trip to Japan. I feel like there's so much more content to get out of Japan and to bring to you guys, but also not just stuff that you'll see through other content creators out there, stuff that I think you guys actually want to know about, but I'll keep my cards held to my chest about that one, about what content we can get about the koi scene in Japan that's not already been covered. But yeah, absolutely, anyone who's thinking about traveling to Japan, I would certainly say it's well worth doing. The one thing I will say is there's a lot of people out there at the moment specifically who have been to Japan once, like myself, who claim to be an expert about all things koi. I'm absolutely not one of those people. I'm still learning and still on this journey. Just because I'm bringing you all this content doesn't make me an expert. I'm just trying to give you guys my opinion, and whether or not you guys take it or do what you want with it, that's fine by me. I'm not trying to preach to you guys anything about koi keeping. There's much better koi keepers out there than myself. What I just want to do is bring you content. You guys can consume it however you like. I just don't want to be seen to be claiming to be something that I'm not. I'm just, like I say, bringing you interviews and topics of discussion that I feel like is adding something to the hobby. So hopefully you guys agree, and yeah, let's get on to the Pond Perspective Diaries and have a little bit more of a discussion about what that's going to entail and what you can expect moving forwards. one of the big things I've wanted to do in this channel is bring you guys unbiased interviews and product reviews, all that kind of thing. And you'll have seen the recent interviews that I've done over the last 3 issues of the magazine. I'm hoping that you guys have really enjoyed them. The readership is every single month going from strength to strength. It's obviously people are sharing it with the friends, which is fantastic. But I've always kind of wanted to try and rack my head around how do I actually give you guys unbiased reviews on products, because it's hard, because obviously if I go and interview somebody who builds filters or they manufacture food or whatever, they'll always say their product is the best. And I've wanted to create this opportunity through the Koi Perspective magazine to actually test products, so anything new to market. I'm going to build myself a little bespoke pond in the garden, in the little space that I have. I've managed to agree with my wife to take a little bit extra of the garden to build a separate setup. And I think what this will give me is an opportunity to put products kind of head to head in a test environment. So I'm thinking along the lines of koi foods, water conditioners, filters, media, all these kind of things. Actually seeing the results. Some things are going to be more difficult than others. Quantifying results of whether or not one fish grows versus another fish. There's a lot of things at play there. Genetics, bloodline, breeder, age, all this kind of thing. It's very hard, but I don't think there's anyone out there at the moment who's doing it. I've been fortunate enough in the first couple of issues of the magazine to visit a few different manufacturers that have already expressed an interest in this project that I'm working on. And I've agreed with EZ Pond to use one of those tanks in the garden. I'm really, really excited. I mean, EZ Ponds, you'll have seen from that video, they are fantastic products. The quality of them is absolutely fantastic. The end finish result as well. So I'm really excited with that. And with Burton Aquatics as well, I'm excited to be using one of their little combi drum filters. So it'll really mean that I can push the pond to the maximum, in terms of feeds, in terms of water conditioners, all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited to use that. But it's only going to be quite a small setup, so 500 gallons. I wish I had more space to do more with it, but that will be the maximum that I can allow for my second setup. And it's going to be difficult for me to tell you a time frame in terms of how quickly I'm going to be able to get you content out for this particular series. The magazine will continue every month like it has been, and it'll be continuously free of charge anywhere around the world. But the Pond Perspective Diaries is going to take me a little bit of time to set all of this up and to actually do some tests and capture the results of them. I'm really excited. I've got a couple more collaborations on the way with a couple of different brands that I'm excited about. And I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this as well, like bring the readers in. Obviously, I'm a hobbyist as well, like at heart. This is born out of my passion to bring you guys what I think is what hobbyists want, in terms of content. So if there's anything particular that you would like to see tested, let's have a chat about it. We'll start the discussion in the comments, and I read every single comment that's left on my videos. So drop a comment down below what you'd like to see tested on this tank.